So the Jackson Five, later known as the Jacksons, are a vocal band from USA, originating in the Chicago area. They're a very famous band, which were drawn from a famous family of singers and musicians. There were 9 siblings, all of whom have had significant musical success. The most famous, of course, was Michael Jackson, who was in the Jacksons. Second most famous is probably Janet Jackson, who was not in the band the Jacksons. And there are several others, Jermaine, Tito. Of course, there were 5, and there's been a little bit of turnover. So famously, they came about because their father was quite pushy, and he formed them as a band. He worked as their manager for many years. He started them out at talent shows when they were quite young, and they were winning these shows, and they became quite successful through the 60s. Their first album came out in 1969. Towards the 80s, the solo success of the individuals kind of eclipsed them as a band, but they are still going. Their most recent album was 1989. And they have sold millions and millions and millions of records. So this was their 14th studio album, and it sold pretty well. There's nothing that's hugely surprising here. If you've come across the Jacksons, if you haven't come across Michael Jackson, then you've been, I don't know where you've been living. So this is kind of in some ways similar to Michael Jackson's kind of peak period in the 80s. It predates Thriller, but it comes just after Off the Wall, Michael Jackson's albums. So it's upbeat, dancey funk pop. It features Michael a lot. He's just had this huge success with Off the Wall. So he does a lot of the lead singing. He's actually done a lot of the writing of the songs as well. The track that I know well is the first track, which is Can You Feel It, which was a huge success. I've got to give them credit. As I say, most of the writing is done by the band, predominantly Michael. Some of the playing is done by the band. They can all play something. And the production is done by the band as well. You can tell it's the Jacksons. The vocal inflection is not easy to escape. There's all sorts of little ornamentations that are very typically Jackson in here. It's all right. It's a decent album. It's not earth-shattering. It's not hugely memorable, apart from Can You Feel It? I quite liked the song about the hotel, which is no longer called Heartbreak Hotel. It was originally called that, but they changed the name. What's it called now? This Place Hotel or something like that. It's a decent album.
Living sin 10 years ago on this day mentioned. I promised I would never ever be returned.